You are correct. Perdita, you're hanging out with Perdita, and
I was originally planning to give her a tour.
So we were talking about the human who is now the Lord Marshal
in authority. Trey continues giving those orders. So we're going to cut away from you to the house of Selthor, where he just got a phone call that he needed to report to the Capitol Building's hospital section immediately.
Last session, we ended by me entering the hospital.
We ended with you entering the hospital? Gotcha.
Yeah.
You walk into the hospital, you round a corner, and it's just chaos in here. Like, there are nurses and officers running back and forth. You hear a shouting match going on. You round the corner, and you see this small human with little red hair and freckles. Shoulders squared, chin out, chest forward, shouting down this vampire who's like 2 hands taller than him. And they're just yelling at each other. One of them is obviously a marshal of some kind, and you're not sure what the redhead is.
Who seems to be which is the highest ranked badge in the room?
The vampire.
What's his badge rank?
He's a marshal.
Just a marshal, so I technically outrank him?
Well, you guys have different authority. Because you're of different branches of government. You're a militant, and he's a marshalship. But like, yes, you would outrank him if you pulled martial law. You outrank everyone in the room. Ostensibly.
Is there? So it's just basically chaos.
Absolutely.
Is there an intercom system that would like anywhere close?
The only place that is chaos is just this little entrance hall. As far as you can tell, the rest of the hospital is functioning as intended.
Okay, so there just seems to be marshalship and everything going on here.
Yeah, there's a lot of chaos going on here. As you approach, you can hear the bit of the argument that's going on. I don't care how high-ranked you think you are. Authority has been put in my hands, and nobody is entering that room until I say otherwise.
And if I see someone's giving him a hard time,
I'll
go grab a walkie-talkie equivalent and just call me.
I grab the human by the. I'm guessing I walk up behind the human.
Sure.
So I'm the only one facing me is the marshal.
Yeah.
Alright, so I grab the human by the shoulder, turn him around, and I say, "What is going on here?"
The vampire says, "This impudent whelp is trying to..."
I asked the human, marshal.
He looks completely indignant at you. The man looks at you as, Lieutenant Commander Selthor, and does like a sloppy salute and puts it back down. The Lord Marshal poisoned, it appears. I performed field medicine and rushed in here immediately with the permission of the Lord High Marshal, Lord High Deputy. Lord High Deputy has written. He hands you a paper.
This private conversation needs to be taken to a more private place.
I agree, sir. He says, looking over his shoulder to the vampire.
All of us now to the room.
No, sir. I'm sorry, but I can't allow anyone to enter the room with the Lord Marshal at the time being.
And that is for what reason?
More private circumstances, sir?
Take me to the room.
Sir, I have been given permission to act as Lord High Deputy, which currently, as written in the codes of 4175, when the Lord Marshal is unavailable, the Lord High Deputy takes authority over until a temporary one is appointed. As currently, I am acting with the authority of the Lord High Marshal. No one is entering that room until I say so.
I don't want to enter the room. I just want to know where it is.
He walks over to a
room.
He leads you to a room with the other marshal and says, "This is the room, sir. Can we step into a side room so I can explain what's going on?
That would be much appreciated.
He steps into a side room with you two. All right. He steps into the room and immediately he just starts shaking and puts his hands in his pockets and starts breathing a little heavier and says, I got to where the Lord Marshal had gone missing and he was on the ground unconscious. It appeared like he had been poisoned. He was dying, so I did I made the executive. Sir, what?
What's your name, boy?
Daniel Tucker III, sir. Most people call me Trey. Like I said, I performed field medicine. I injected blood into his system to try and potentially fight off the poison. But as I was trying to withdraw, some officers of the Northfilts attacked me. I may or may not have killed 2 of them, sir. The marshal gasps. How dare you? You don't have the authority. He says, I fully accept any punishment that will be forthcoming. However, given the fact that the Lord Marshal was under attack and had been poisoned, I did not have the luxury of asking questions of who anyone was and placed his safety as a primary goal above that of any other authority.
So this is just a basic marshal, right?
The vampire in the room is just a basic marshal. The human looks to be a clerk of some kind.
I look at the marshal and I say, if the boy was defending himself, do not speak to him in that way, or I will escort you out of the building.
He looks aghast and like so offended.
I mean, you can't actually force a marshal of a building.
Oh no, he totally could. He could pull military rank and say, I'm placing, because Jared is a military, Selthor is a military police, so he could pull military police rank and arrest this person, and drag him out of the building because he does technically outrank him.
But treason? Do they have any jurisdiction here?
Not really, but I mean, you could arrest someone on charges of treason and then release them later.
Fair
after
enough.
a court case.
I look back at the boy and I say, and what's the current condition?
Not good, sir. I only allowed certain doctors and nurses to be in the room with him. I've told them that no one is to exit or re-enter the room until his condition is stabilized. I've been communicating with them via radio, and they tell me his condition is deteriorating rapidly.
Where's the radio?
He pulls it out of his pocket. That's what we were arguing about, sir, just now.
I hold out my hand.
He hands it over to you.
I click it on and I say, this is Lieutenant Colonel Selthor. I demand to know what's the current condition.
Well, it'd be a lot better if we didn't keep getting interrupted like this. A nurse picks up the radio. Sir, I'm sorry. The Lord Marshal's condition is very bad. He's entering some kind of anaphylactic shock. His airways have closed up.
How many nurses are in there?
Just the 3 of us and the 2 doctors. Jeffrey nods, confirming the number. Not Jeffrey. Daniel nods, confirming the number.
Names of the doctors.
Dr. Van Hoven and Dr. Van Holstein.
Do I currently know where Dabinid and Sarah are?
Dabinid has kind of been acting weird recently, but he's been spending an absurd amount of time working on the project. Sarah has not been seen for 3 weeks by anyone.
I hand the radio back to the boy and I say, get more doctors in there. Get every single one of them in the building if you have to.
He nods his head, and then steps back and starts rating some people. The marshal grabs your shoulder and grabs your arm and says, "Sir, a word."
I look at I look at the marshal and I say, just one?
He looks at you indignantly. Are we really going to entrust the future of our Lord Marshal to a human? It's a human youth. He barely looks to be 17 years of age.
The future of our... Is Lord Marshal right?
Mm-hmm.
The future of our Lord Marshal is currently in the hands of every single one in this building. Don't underestimate anyone's ability, or I will underestimate yours to do your job.
He kind of looks a little confused and he goes, "Sir," and steps back. But you can tell he definitely did not want to step back. As that happens,
and I think now do your job, and everyone else will do theirs. I have a phone call to make.
Cool. As you step away to go make your phone call, we pass back to Hule and Floryian. Floryian, you're walking through an actually really pristine area. There's these smooth concrete floors, and like the whole park is centralized around this little circular layout. It just comes in with more layers of green and whatnot. Around the outer layer, there's housing installations, like there are different homes and apartment buildings. All of them seem to be of mediocre quality. Like these aren't the towering the skyscrapers that you find in other areas of the town. These more remind you of early 20th century or 19th century New York apartment buildings. Like none of them are more than like 3 stories tall, maybe 4 stories at most. And they're all red brick with white trim. Though there's white smooth concrete on the ground, nice trees, artificial lighting above. There's a big open courtyard in the middle. There's an odd number of patrols going on here, like more patrols than you would think necessary. But yeah, what's going through Floryian's head as she's entering this area with Perdita and Hule?
Right now, she's probably just walking alongside them, taking everything in. She noticed the patrols and kind of like glances at Hule with a question in her eyes of why? Do you know?
Do I know?
Does he know?
Is this from the Ackerman thing?
The patrols going on here.
Right.
This is the area where the riot started.
Okay. I'll, shake head like it's dismissively, just like it's a hey, don't worry about it. It do be like that. Like anywhere you go, there could be a rich neighborhood where it's over policed. Without saying as much, just with nonverbal cues, trying to play it off as no big deal because it's not. They're just people doing their jobs,
Right.
and it would detract. Squelling riots detracts from the scenery.
Mm-hmm. There is a big maze out to the back. I assume that's where you're going to head, where it's just all greenery.
And about that point, where we would be entering the maze, is where I'm going. We're seeing all the stuff that's going on at the hospital. I'm like, I need to actually be there. Things can go badly quickly.
Okay.
Neither of them really know their way around.
No, but I mean, you could leave them you are confident in Floryian's ability to protect herself, and it's a garden with plenty of patrols around to keep them safe. This is probably the safest place for them to be, away from a center of action. Large numbers of police nearby who are, probably loyal to you.
And I'd like to think he was intelligent enough to plan that, even though I'm not. Just apologies. I can hear work buzzing in my ear. There's a couple fires I gotta go pee on. You know how it is. Always someone with their head cut off around here. But hopefully you can enjoy this grove. It's not home, but it's the closest taste you've got.
Yes, I better call this grove, but
Hey, you have some stuff to show off. Maybe go for dead.
not today.
It never hurts. He's new to the world. You can learn today's the day for learning. And worst case, here's a couple addresses for, phone number, a couple of key addresses, and
I didn't have a phone.
and some money so you can get someone else to call for you.
Okay.
You're right. It's one of that new. Maybe you'll get one someday. I don't think you need them out where you live, but in the city, it's real handy. Easiest way to get a hold of me. It's like show my walkie-talkie and out of my coat. Also, we got regular clothes for the guy, so I can take my coat back.
Yeah, you did.
Cool. I'll hold it back, make sure it has everything that it's supposed to. Cigars, notepads, pencils, pens, cigar case, lighter, backup lighter. And probably like my Badger gun or something, I don't know. But make sure everything's there and head on my way. Worst case, I would like to meet you in an hour or two, or I'll send somebody in. If you're just going through the maze, or if you're just chilling in the middle, I can tell them to leave a note. Dude, you know where you're going? It's a maze. It's kind of a trick question, but if you're just plowing through, I hear there's an entrance on the other side.
Orin just kind of glances at Perdita to see what his thoughts and opinions are.
Perdita's kind of spaced out, just looking at the flowers. Like he's drifted over to the maze wall and is like cupped a red rose between his hands, and he's just kind of like looking at it, smiling dumbly, as if maybe he were high or something.
I kind of glance over at him.
He kind of looks up. What? Yes? Sorry?
You good over there?
I'm just appreciating beauty.
You want to see something cool?
I'd love to.
Yeah.
So I take it our host is leaving us?
Yes, he's off on some official business.
He nods his head toward you. Well, thanks for lending me your coat.
Pleasure's all mine. It's kind of my job to help people out.
He nods it.
That being said, don't worry. Floryian here's taking care of me for years, and I'm sure she can...
If I can take care of someone quite as ginormous as this, I can take care of a tiny little human.
Perdita smiles and goes, well, I mean, that one does know what he's doing, at least a little bit. I have no clue.
Well, here's your chance to learn. Floryian, I believe you're gonna show him something, eh?
Oh, yes. She looks at the rose that he had been holding, and is the maze kind of like just thick shrubbery that's been cut into the shape of a maze?
Yeah.
Or it's like a full-on hedge?
I mean, it's a full-on hedge,
Okay.
and on the outside, it's a thick row of shrubbery or a hedge that's been set up. And you can't see through it. It's so thick and dense with leaves and whatnot. But yeah, it's been cut to shape.
With Druidcraft, could I essentially turn the just green hedge into a hedge full of roses?
You could turn a part of it. You could make roses bloom, yeah.
Like, if there's like an entrance with an arc over it, cause that to bloom with roses?
Absolutely. You guys approach the entrance and you flick your hand for Druidcraft, and roses just bloom around the edge. And Perdita's eyes go wide, just aghast by what's going on.
I noticed you like the flowers, so I thought you might like this.
That's so cool. He flashes his hand, and more flowers sprout. That's awesome! I didn't know people could do that.
I didn't know that either. Cool.
I think Hule's gone at this point.
It's a day of learning.
I turn around and like glance at him despairingly, and all I see is his broad shoulders in the distance. So I'm like,
You're just shouting back, it's a day of learning.
I turn back to Perdita. I just look at him, and like my left eye starts twitching. What have I gotten into? What else can you do? No.
I'm just doing what you're doing. There's a person walks up and says, "What can I do for y'all here?" "Oh, you do things? Can I get some food, please?" "Yes, of course." The person walks away around the corner and comes back with a tray of food, much like y'all had at the restaurant.
I kind of give him like this wary glance, like, "Who are you and why are you here and talking to us?"
They're a gardener. That's what they are. Like, he's one of the gardener tenders.
And the gardeners feed people.
Apparently.
They're
I
doing
mean,
it.
yeah, the person's doing it, but I mean, you wouldn't know any better because like you've never been here before.
But it's really sus.
Florian just kind of
Southern
looks at him
hospitality.
and nods in appreciation, but doesn't take anything.
Okay. Perdita eats the food and like looks really satisfied, and the gardener just then leaves and walks away. And then as you guys, I assume, start walking through the maze, Perdita's like touching vines and causing a flower to bloom every time he touches it, and just smiling dumbly again, just like, "Whoa, it's giggling like that every time he touches." And then looks back over at you and goes, What else can we do?"
I can do a few things. I'm not sure if you're ready for that. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that.
You guys continue to walk through the maze. And as we do that, Hule, we cut over to Hule, who I assume flags a carriage and heads to the Capitol building.
Yeah, definitely. And immediately.
You flag a carriage and head into the Capitol building. You zoom over there and land. By the time you land, you see Hule through the... Not Hule, oh my gosh. You see Selthor through the glass, just ending a phone call. And we're going to cut back a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Selthor, you go make your phone call.
I walk out and I make a call to the science division
Okay.
and tell them to, or whoever I get on the line, I tell them to tell Davernid I need any of the healing serums Sarah was working on before she disappeared as soon as possible. And I said, and make it urgent.
Very well. I'll get a hold. The person on the other end tells you they'll get a hold of Davenid just as soon as they can. And they run off.
Make it as soon as now.
Yes, Davenid is currently not here. He went to do to find some research at the library at the Capitol building. He's probably. I'll run and go get him. Someone. Then they get off the phone and leave. Is that the only phone call you were gonna make?
Yeah.
Okay. You look up and see a carriage land outside, and the hulking figure of Hule von Grimsbach lands, and he runs inside through the rain.
I meet them at the door.
Okay. You walk up to the Lord High Deputy. You walk in through the door, Hule, and there's Selthor there. You, of course, know what's been going on here because of your monkey. But what do either of you say as you approach each other?
I just wait for him to walk in.
Evening, sir. Are you here on business or pleasure? I've been apprised of the situation.
I think we both know why I'm here.
Maybe we do, but nonetheless, why are you here? Let's leave assumptions for the dog, my friend. Are you well? Can I get you anything?
I turn around and start walking towards the room.
I'm already walking there.
I guess as you walk up, I turn around and start walking towards the room. And I say, the condition's getting worse, it seems. I currently have one. I can trying to help. I'm trying to get some extra resources here.
Alright, sounds all kinds of useful. I don't suppose that, was it your secretary? What was her name? Has she shown back up yet?
No. I should talk about that at the moment. Right now, we need to establish a order of,
Chain of command?
chain of command done with in order to how everyone is going to be working and how this building is going to function until we can get this under control.
Well, it sounds like I'm just in time then. The chain of command is me, and the perimeter is going to be as much as we need it to. I don't care if I take up 3 floors doing it. And the order of business is keeping the good Lord Marshal alive long enough to testify on his own behalf.
Well, then you need to go, and I point toward the off room, and I'm like, you need to go in there and talk to them and establish that between those two your
My underlings is the word, yes.
Yes.
I believe Trey had well spoken everything I meant for him to, but nonetheless, I'll repeat it with my own lungs. Some people around here have thick ears and thicker skulls.
You see a marshal spots you, Hule, and barrels up to you. Sir, I must complain about the impudence of one of your underlings.
That's funny. And I do mean that that's all kinds of funny, because I was going to ask you why you've been disobeying my orders and questioning my authority. Marshal,
That was a human speaking those orders.
and who do you think gave that human his authority? Me.
And he turns around and storms off. Outrageous!
He's just as good at speaking English as you are.
The door that he came out of is open. You walk inside and you see a now utterly defunct and collapsed Trey just sitting on the sitting in a chair, leaning on the table, his hands to his forehead, and he's just shaking uncontrollably.
I'll step in for a minute.
As he goes to walk off, I kind of catch Hule's arm, and I'm like, bear in mind, this is still a hospital, and they do need to treat other patients. I'll set up a 1-mile perimeter, and the only entrance in and out will be through air. The air.
And just have someone inspect ambulances as they unload and offload.
There will be military along with Marshall on every floor at all times. I know those. I've done it.
More than one floor, but yes, there will be marshals.
Cool. So officers start filing into the building and start following Selthor's commands and whatnot. You walk into the room with Trey. Like I said, he's just sitting there shaking.
Trey?
Sir, he stands up and the chair clatters to the floor and he turns around, salutes crisply, and goes back to his arms go back to his side. But he's definitely still shaking. He relaxes a little bit, which just makes him shake more.
Take a break. Take it easy. You did good. You followed orders. You kept him safe. Best anyone could.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm a little concerned about the legality of me murdering two Norschfeld's officers.
They presented no paperwork. They presented no authority. They struck at a member of the council without any due process. You have nothing to worry.
Yes, sir. Sir, also, he holds out some papers to you. I needed them approved previously, but we were busy. I don't know. Maybe I should wait. Never mind.
What are they? I'll grab the papers.
You snatched them out of his hands. It's the approval papers for him to go off for weapons training in Hermersla.
Oh. Wait, he has to leave to do that? We don't have...
You do have in-city weapons training and whatnot, but he applied for the highest quality weapons training.
Ah, yes. And I'll just hand it off to the monkey with a pen and say, "Don't worry, it'll be taken care of."
Yes, sir.
Then make sure the monkey writes an expedited, because this assignment to training is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was kind of like your punishment for him not following rules, but at the same time, it was a way of like getting him to be able to follow the rules.
This is obviously my goal.
Right.
So expedited punishment, because we believe in swift justice around here.
Mm-hmm. Trey just sits back down. After a little bit, Karen and frick, where are they? Where are my characters' names? Hule. Carleen and Karen arrive, and they approach. Karen walks up to you and says, "Sir, I've gotten in contact with Lieutenant Colonel and a couple of our officers. They've established a perimeter. They're inspecting people. We've got officers from the marshalship and from the militant patrolling each floor. Exits are watched. All ambulances are checked upon being unloaded and loaded. Everyone's ID cards have been double checked and triple checked. Everyone who is in this building should be in this building."
That's great news. Make sure you also tell them to smile, and please, for the love of sanity, get them like a bag of jelly beans. No, this is a hospital. You aren't here to punish them.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
How's Trey?
Trey is going to be good. He is going to be great. He is doing well, but it's been quite the day for him.
Carleen rolls her eyes and steps to the side, like, just so condescendingly, and goes to the vending machine and, like, exasperatedly pulls out some money, puts it into the machine, and a thing of soda falls, goes to the next one and grabs a thing of jelly beans, and, like, with a huff of, and, like, a sigh of, "I can't believe I'm doing this," walks into the room with Trey and closes the door behind her.
Oh, are you the other person you were thinking of? Are you thinking of, like, Carlian?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard that was, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Karen and Carleen came in here. Is it Carlian?
I think so?
Carlian.
I think there's an O there. You can say it anyway.
Alright. Well, yeah, Karen and Carlian came in. Karen was the one that gave the report, and Carlian was just kind of standing over there to the side, thinking, standing as she normally does with her little hat on her head and her trench coat. And then after you mentioned Trey and, like, kind of danced around the question a little bit, she gave that exasperated display of like, "Fine, I'll go help somebody. Gosh."
Oh.
And walked in there.
You're a sweetheart. When someone's approaching you, you have to give them a hard time.
And then Karen heads away with your with whatever you said to relay those orders.
And ask her to report back to me when she's done with all that.
Okay. One of the doctors opens the door to the Lord Marshal's room and steps out and closes the door behind him.
Yes, sir.
The Lord Marshal is fading, sir. we've done everything we can, and the field medicine performed by the boy on the field was probably the best anyone could have done for him. We've tried some advanced techniques to propagate the vampiric healing, but the poison that was put into his system had ravaged too much.
Do you know what the poison was?
Yeah, it's called, well, colloquially it's known as rot, but we here in it's actually Rothmedium oxyhodomoto tridicetide, but ROT, rot. It's a fitting name as it attacks the cells and breaks down the cell wall membranes, turning your insides into basically a goop, and the fungus spreads out and starts re-knitting it all together to form itself. It's a very fast and aggressive super weapon fungus.
And no amount of blood or cleric would fix this.
Well, now that he's a full vampire, clerics aren't an option for us, sir.
Hopefully they could remove diseases. Wait, can they not do that on vampires?
Holy magic.
I assumed there were like necromantic versions.
We've tried that, sir.
Oh well.
But you said cleric, so.
Well,
yes, we did that, sir. We got someone in there to, well, someone's coming, but they're not here yet. But with the medicine we have on hand, that's all we can do.
Thank you for your service, sir. I'll step in. Is he in speaking condition?
No, we've stalled the poison. Well, I suppose you can enter the room, sir.
Thank you. I'll stay out of your way.
He opens the door and you see them. They're just monitoring stuff at this point. It looks like all the hub and bub that was happening earlier has passed. Mm-hmm. And one of the doctors turns and looks at you and walks up and says, "Sir, what can we do for you?"
Just here to see if the Lord Marshal has any last request.
I see. He steps back, breathing heavily. His eyes open. They glow red, and the room kind of shifts in tint a little bit. Mm-hmm. And he looks over at you, and then his eyes close again. In the metal, reflecting by his head, you see Mike. He's talking, Hule.
I'm listening or reading lips. I think I have the observant feat.
You can't hear him. His lips aren't moving, and as far as you can't hear anything either.
And I will think to Mike, lest I be caught talking to myself. Can you translate? I don't hear it, Mike.
He's asking for his. He's asking you to keep an eye out on his girls. He has a little girl and 2 boys, and his wife. He's just asking that you take care of them. Here, let me show you. Pull your patch off.
Over like I'm listening to some.
Right.
Yeah, soft spoken. Last word.
Mike passes into your red eye. I forget. Do you keep a patch over that eye?
No.
No. Okay. Your eye kind of fades, and the vision, like the whole world around you, becomes this gray, off, fuzzy look, like it's out of focus, and like not that it's black and white, but that all color seems to be essentially you've just got hues of color instead of you've just got brightness instead of proper color and hue and whatnot. And you look down, except for people, and the Lord Marshal has color, and he's standing behind his bed, and he looks up at you and says, "But unfortunately, that's all that I can say. I know someone has obviously tried to kill me, and I don't think I'll be here for much longer." It's funny, all the work we put into to try and save these. I've worked for so many years, Hule, to preserve this country. You know how many messages and communiques I've sent to different countries to facilitate peace so that our people can have some kind of modicum of prosperity? They're going to insist on war with the dwarves now that I'm dead. I was the only thing keeping the other countries back.
It's just the beginning.
It is just the beginning, and I'm sorry that I have to leave you this burden. I know you don't like working from the top, but I honestly don't trust anyone else to do this job. There's a few marshals out there that I think can actually do well, but they're all corrupt, and one of the things that I regret is that I played their game. I thought that to use these things to win, I had to play the games that they played. I bribed, I bought, just to make people's lives better. Put things in position. As far as I'm aware, that's not something you've done. He looks at you questioningly. Is it?
Nah, you know me.
He nods his head and says,
Okay, am I speaking? Can I speak purely mentally, or am I? Okay, cool.
you,
I was just like, I don't want to say anything incriminating to the doctors.
He, of course, you could always just tell people to leave the room, but
No, I'll keep. I want the doctors there, and I'll keep nodding, and the whole yes, will do.
Right.
With my voice, because I'm used to multi-braining.
Right. He,
But no, sir.
he names off a couple of people that for sure you'd be able to trust, that he knows aren't corrupt, aren't broken, aren't twisted, and then he names off some of the most prominent people that are in his pocket, and he trusts them explicitly because they're in his pocket.
Yeah.
And then he says, the Lord Militant, while he's not exactly nice and does not share my vision for mortals, the man is a practical man, and he values capability above anything else. And as far as he's concerned, vampires are the most capable. But you'll notice that he has humans on his staff because humans sometimes have proven themselves. So, in that sense, you can trust him to do the most practical thing. He won't let his prejudices get in the way of his perfect little army that he wants.
And did you keep any records, notes?
I did. In my house, in the garage, there's a safe that heads downstairs.
When my wolf was there the other day, when something had broken out of his house, and I sent an investigation.
Something had broken out of his house, yeah. But it was not out of... It didn't come out of some little secret area. It came out of one of his cars. Like, it was inside his car and broke out of his car.
Oh, I thought it had broken out of the garage.
It was. The car was within the garage.
Yes, cool. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Ambush waiting to happen. Yikes. Well, don't know if... Did you put your affairs in order before you got into this mess, right?
Well, I put a lot of things in order, but there's no end to them.
Is there anything you need before you go? This...
He looks down at himself and full of blood and goes, No, I don't think there is.
So thank you for your service.
Thank you for yours. Hule. One thing though, never mind. And he turns around, and a door opens in front of him, and your mind reels, but because of Mike standing there, you, like, one part of your brain just enters absolute shock and terror, and the other half of your mind just, like, steals in place as this skeletal hand and a black robe steps forward, and Jeffrey looks back at you, smiles a sad smile, and says, "Oh yes, keep an eye on my orphanages," and steps through, and the door closes.
Yeah. And I'll salute his passing as much as my body is able, or my astral body is.
Yeah, astral body. And yeah, the Lord Marshal flatlines. They all run up and start running through different things.
Yeah.
The necromancer is still nowhere near.
Yeah.
And then his body begins to rot and fall apart.
And I will step back, like cover my mouth, and leave the room. Like it's some kind of COVID scare. Just whoop.
Right? You step out of the room. You know, his body turns to dust, like to mush as you're walking out of the room. There's no bringing that body back to life. You step out into the hall, and yeah. What do you?
Pop out a pen, paper, and just jot down things so I don't forget later.
Okay.
Grim face, and if anyone of mine comes back or comes up, I'll try to keep a level cold stare. So when they ask, they aren't surprised by the bad news.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the official paperwork is, but I do know I have a lot of paperwork to file against the North Sledge.
Okay. So you go off to start filing.
And several successful ones.
Okay. Selthor, you are told... Oh. Okay. Oh, there we go.
What's up?
Selthor, you are informed by someone or another that the Lord Marshal has passed away. Ackerman has still not arrived. What do you do?
Her face kind of drops as I ordered the other floors to be cleared, or for like the military personnel to clear or get out of the other floors.
Okay.
And to start preparation for escorting out.
Yeah. What was Selthor's opinion of the Lord Marshal? Like, what's Selthor thinking of as he realizes that the Lord Marshal has passed away?
He believed he was a good man, but in the end, it was just another person up the ladder that's going to be replaced and will become another puppet.
Alright. You, you kind of step away from all that and have everyone file out, and then we head back to Floryian. Floryian, you two are walking through the garden, and you've kind of just been enjoying the different things, and every time Perdita asks a question like, what's this? What's this? You're able to tell him this straight up, because you know all of these plants. And
You can probably talk to the plants if it doesn't go there.
Probably.
But like the ones that I don't know, I just kind of like,
What are you?
are you again? Remind me.
Totally.
And every once in
And-
a while, I'll say hi to a squirrel or other creature.
Mhm. Yeah, and they all seem to like you. All the animals regard you as like a good friend, even though they've never seen you before. And Perdita eventually sits down under. There's a large open area in the center of the maze, with just like a grove. There's a couple of trees, a small little artificial lake, an artificial river. Nice plant. It looks perfectly realistic, and it's got actual soil and whatnot. But you know, there's no way a river of this size would be able to flow in this area naturally. So you know, there's probably a pump at either end, sending the water back and forth. You can see fish swimming in it and in the pond. You can see there's a nice little willow tree there. So what as you arrive here with Perdita, what do you do? Say.
I look at him and just ask him what he's thinking, what he's feeling, if there's anything at all that he remembers at this point, or just what's going on in his mind.
I remember not so much things, but emotions. Like there's this feeling of, I don't know how to describe it. It makes me want to smile. It's like joy, but there's a smile there. It's a
Happiness?
no, not my own smile. It's another person's smile. It's warm and it makes me feel at peace. And every time I look at one of these flowers, I get that feeling.
Maybe it's the smile of someone you once knew or know and just can't remember.
Yeah, that makes sense. As for other things, I also remember anger. I feel like I remember a burning hot hatred. I also remember, I think it's guilt. I'm not sure though. I don't have anything to compare it to, so I know these words, but I don't know if these are the right words to attach to the right emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was guilt. I don't know. It's a lot of things. It's strange to think that nothing can be a lot. You know, like there's no memories, but it still feels like a vast amount. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Like there's no memories, but there's a place where they should be.
Kind of. What about you? Like, where did you... Maybe hearing about your past will inspire me to remember mine. Where did you come from?
Well, I was found by some minotaurs by the name of Gemsbach, and I lived with them. He was like a little brother to me.
I see. You were obviously familiar with plants, so... Does everywhere look like this? With the glass and the black metal and the rain?
Oh no, not at all.
No?
Where I come from, there's fields of flowers, grass, hay, corn.
Wow.
During the day, the sky is blue. At night, it's so clear you can see the stars.
Perdita's eyes begin to glow. Like, not like literally glow, but you know.
Because she was about to give him a really funny look.
Perdita's eyes begin to, like, come alive.
Gleam
As,
is the word.
like Perdita can almost see it.
Yeah, it would probably be good for you to go there. Might help
Maybe.
heal your mind.
Yeah. It's really pretty here, though. Looking up at the artificial lights and the little big dome that's built over this area to keep out the rain.
Yeah, if you think this is pretty, you won't believe what it's like outside the city.
I'll have to go look eventually.
Mhm.
Perdita kind of leans back and looks around. What is... Kind of narrows his eyes. Oh, never mind.
Oh no, you tell.
I
I've got
just,
nothing to do until Hule comes back.
I don't even know how to ask it, so.
Well, describe it.
It's like... It's like... There's something that's warm going from your center to your hands, and then it curls there and then comes back. And every time we make the flowers grow, I feel it again, like more of it than is just normally there.
Out of character, would that be magic?
Pretty adequate description of magic.
Okay. And I would probably understand what he's talking about.
Make her chest like through.
What, Hugh?
He was mouthing off.
I know, but I want to hear what he mouthed.
Hey DM, describe magic. We need new wizards. Man.
Anyways,
No, that sounds an awful lot like magic.
what's magic? That, I assume.
Describe magic.
Perdita goes back, I assume, and like rolls his eyes, looking back down at the ground. But like, you said it sounds like magic, so like, what does it do?
Well, when I made a flower appear, that's magic.
I see. So it's what we use to make flowers grow.
There's other... Well...
What was the question?
There are other.
Florian's just kind of like stumbling and stammering, trying to figure out just how to explain this to someone who doesn't know what magic is.
The energy of the universe.
Perdita kind of goes, "It's really nice here," and lays down on the grass, and then falls asleep. And I think that's where we're going to end it for today.
Peaceful sunshine and water. Well, the Lord Marshal lies in dust.
Mush, not
Right,
dust.
the Lord Marshal is Hule.
Wait, out of character though, am I the next Lord Marshal? I thought there was another process.
It's an election, yes. It becomes an election, but he was encouraging you to become the Lord Marshal, and he was giving you names of people that he trusted for different reasons, so that you could take that position.
And then the audio cuts out, and I don't really know what to do at this point, so cue exit music.